Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Supplementary budget of 2.17 trillion naira scales second reading at House of Representatives. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino reiterates commitment to running an all-inclusive, transparent and accountable government. Plus, U.S. President Joe Biden signs order on AI safeguards days ahead of International Security Summit. The details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight is a report that the 2023 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget today scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. The budget sent by President Bola Tinubu was debated and passed for second reading by the House. President Tinubu had, in a letter to the House, asked the House to approve a 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget till December 2023. The budget is as follows: 18 billion naira for statutory transfer, 992.8 billion naira for recurrent expenditure, and 1.16 trillion naira for development fund for capital expenditure. Leading the debate on the bill, the majority leader of the House, Julius Ihovere, said the government needs the money to fund the agreement between federal government and the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC). He urged his colleagues to pass the bill so that workers can enjoy their end-of-year holiday. In another development, President Tinubu has proposed to spend over 6.9 billion naira on procurement of vehicles for the State House, with the Office of the First Lady getting 1.5 billion naira for new cars. This is contained in the supplementary budget Tinubu sent to the National Assembly for approval. It will be recalled that the President sent a 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget to the National Assembly for approval. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has waded into the political and security crisis unfolding in Rivers State. The relationship between Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State and his predecessor in office and current Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT Nyesom Wike suffered a setback following attempts by a section of the State House of Assembly to impeach the governor. Blame for the attempted impeachment of Governor Fubara is being placed on Wike, with sources accusing him of being the hidden hand orchestrating the actions of the House of Assembly faction behind the impeachment efforts. The President used the opportunity of today's meeting of the Police Council, which both the governor and the FCT minister attended as members, to ostensibly end the feud between the two political allies. The governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, disclosed the president's intervention while briefing correspondents on the outcome of the Police Council's meeting held at the State House, Abuja. Away from that, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has said that the federal government is planning to introduce new foreign exchange rules, including a crackdown on illegal currency trading by end of 2023. According to him, it is hoped that the move will result in the naira closing its more than 45% gap with the unofficial rate and reaching a fair price by year end. Oyedele noted that government plans to clear a backlog of dollar demand estimated at about $6.7 billion, bolster the naira forward market, and set transparent rules for the operations of the official market. In a separate development, Minister of Education Professor Taher Maman has disclosed President Bola Tinubu's plans to put an end to the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Maman made the disclosure during a tour of the remodeled Christ the King School along Wellington Bassey Way, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, constructed by Governor Umoino. The minister, who noted that such could only be achieved through collaboration between the local, state and federal governments, lauded Governor Eno for the basic education infrastructural development, saying that such was in line with President Tinubu's vision of reversing the decline in school enrollments. The minister was in Uyo for the celebration of the University of Lagos 1984 law class reunion, when he made the comment during a tour of the remodeled Christ the King School. Earlier, the governor said his administration's determination to pay attention to education at the primary level was informed by the need to spur the passion for education among school children. Now from the Red Chambers, where the Senate has approved the nomination of Zach Adedeji as chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS. Adedeji appeared before the upper chamber for his screening today, where he discussed his plans to improve the nation's revenue. Adedeji raised concern over the dearth of information in the oil and gas sector. He promised that most of the leakages would be halted. According to him, the core problem in the country is that of proper data, adding that developing data upon which decisions will be made is fundamental. According to him, it will enable sufficient information on the exact number of vessels of crude brought into the country and the concomitant tax. Adedeji also vowed to centralize the identification system in Nigeria and advance the nation's data mining capacity. Recall that his confirmation is coming over a month after President Bola Tinubu appointed him his special advisor on revenue as the new FIRS. And well, the Senate has said that it has uncovered how the Board of Directors of Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company (PLC) allegedly paid a 14 billion naira salary increase to its staff members without the approval of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. The chairman of the Senate Public Accounts Committee, Ahmed Wadada, disclosed this during a session in the Senate in Abuja when the management of NSPMC appeared before the committee concerning the 2019 report of the Auditor General of the Federation. The report of the Auditor General revealed that between 2016 and 2019, NSPMC's Board of Directors approved 14 billion naira for salaries and allowances without the approval of the Salaries and Wages Regulatory Body. In his response, the Deputy Whip of the Senate, Nwebonyi Onyeka, explained that government money was spent without due process, adding that the misappropriated funds should be refunded. Now from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has urged the Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Batokun to ensure the speedy delivery of justice for Chalia Silas, a National Youth Service Corps NYC member that was murdered in Kaduna State. The call was sequel to a unanimous adoption of a motion by Benny Law of PDP Plateau at plenary today. Moving the motion, Law recalled that on October 18, Silas was brutally murdered while jogging in Barnawa, Kaduna South local government area. He said that Silas hailed from Tabat in Langtang North Federal Constituency of Plateau State. According to the lawmaker, the deceased, who is a graduate of rehabilitation sciences from the University of Jos, tragically died at the hands of her assailants while undertaking the mandatory service year. And while the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has said that the National Assembly was planning legislation that would regulate artificial intelligence AI to curb identity theft, among others. He said this at the 7th convocation ceremony organized by the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, in collaboration with the University of Benin, held in Abuja. Abbas stressed that AI can create many benefits such as better health care, safer and cleaner transport, more efficient manufacturing, and cheaper and more sustainable energy. The Speaker further stressed that integrating AI into education would present a transformative shift in how teaching and learning are conducted. In the meantime, a House of Representatives member representing Ibadan North Federal Constituency, Olaide Akinremi, has lauded President Bola Tinubu for the vote of confidence passed on his Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. The lawmaker, while addressing journalists in Abuja, said the appointment of Gbajabiamila as Chief of Staff was well thought out by the president. The lawmaker advised group of people or individuals planning any form of protest to channel their energy to something more meaningful, adding that the evil machinations of government enemies have been exposed. Elsewhere, the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee (PAC) has summoned the leadership of the Nigeria Communications Satellite Limited (NICOMSAT), Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRE), and other government agencies to address a significant 20.853 billion naira audit query. Other agencies included in the action are the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority (NEPZA) and 3 other entities. The committee, led by Bamidele Salem, issued a 72-hour ultimatum for the agencies to appear before it. Salem emphasized that the decision followed the agency's absence during a committee sitting aimed at addressing the audit queries against them. He also issued a stern warning, stating that the invitation represents the final notice before a warrant of arrest could be issued against the heads of the agencies. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Adu, to brief the Green Chamber on the status of the conditional cash transfer program of the federal government to 15 million households. The House, in a motion of urgent public importance, today expressed worry about the handling of the program. The House questioned the lack of transparency in the program, which has led to fraudulent practices. Reports say the minister is to give details on the collation of data and distribution of the funds. Moving on now to the judiciary, where the Supreme Court today deferred till December 5 hearing of an appeal that is seeking to invalidate the years that Senator Hope Uzodimma spent in office as the governor of Imo State. Though the appeal, which has stayed over 3 years in the docket of the Apex Court, was initially fixed for hearing today. However, the proceeding could not hold. Meanwhile, officials of the court merely informed the parties that the hearing had been postponed till the new date. Recall that the All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA) had in the application sought the removal of Governor Uzodimma from office. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today restored Timipre Silva as the valid candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC) for the Bayelsa State governorship election billed for November 11. The court, in a unanimous decision by a 3-member panel of justices, vacated the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which disqualified Silva from participating in the gubernatorial poll. It held that the litigant Demiso Yefa Kolomo, who initiated the suit that led to Silva's disqualification, lacked the local standing, that is, the legal right to do so. Consequently, the appellate court, aside from setting aside the verdict of the High Court, awarded a cost of 1 million naira against the respondent, Kolomo. It will be recalled that the High Court had, in a judgment it delivered on October 9, declared that Silva, who is the immediate past Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, was not eligible to participate in the gubernatorial contest, having already spent 5 years in office as governor of the state. In the meantime, the Court of Appeal in Abuja today declared Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of the People's Democratic Party as the duly elected candidate for the Kogi Central senatorial election held in February 2023. The court further dismissed the appeal filed by Abubakar Ohere of the All Progressives Congress for lacking in merit. Recall that the State Election Petitions Tribunal in September had declared Akpoti-Uduaghan winner of the Kogi Central senatorial election. It also invalidated the victory of Ohere. The tribunal chairman, Justice K.A. Ojiako, delivered the unanimous judgment of the 3-man panel, revealing that Ohere's results were inflated in 9 polling units in the Ajaokuta local government area. He added that the Independent National Electoral Commission reduced Natasha's results in those areas and omitted the results of 3 other polling units meant for Natasha in the same local government area. In a related development, In a surprising turn of events, the Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has said he accepts the verdict of the appeal court which upheld the election of Natasha Portillo-Duagan as the duly elected senatorial candidate of her constituency. Portillo-Duagan of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) hails from Kogi Central Senatorial District. Bello, who participated in the National Police Council meeting which confirmed Kayode Betokun as substantive Inspector General of Police today at the presidential villa Abuja, described Natasha as his sister. He said it was necessary for him to accept the court verdict to avoid a breakdown of law and order in the state. Still on electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the National Assembly have pledged their commitment to ensuring credible elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. The decision was reached during the inaugural meeting of the Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters held in Abuja. The INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, while addressing members of the National Assembly who were present at the meeting, presented the Commission's plans and preparations towards hitch-free, transparent and credible elections in the 3 states. Yakubu noted that the number of permanent voter cards (PVCs) collected shall be used for the computation of the margin of lead principle. In another development that we already brought up, the Nigeria Police Council has confirmed Kayode Betokun as substantive Inspector General of Police. The Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, announced this to journalists at the State House Abuja after the council's meeting today. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has reiterated his commitment to running an inclusive, transparent and accountable government, while also assuring of his determination to the total execution of his Arise agenda in order to better the lots of the common people. The governor, who gave the assurance in his speech at the 12th Chief Edition of the Chief Emeka Anyaoku Lecture Series on Good Governance with the theme Imperative of Good Governance in Nigeria, commended the organizers of the event for seeking knowledge and for immortalizing the name of one of the nation's great leaders, Chief Anyaoku, while assuring the people that he will continue to support the program during his stay in office. The governor restated that it is his sacred responsibility to serve the people and pledged to make accountability and transparency his watchword. Governor Eno, who used the occasion to announce that all is set for the flag-off of the One Project per Local Government exercise, further explained that he will use the period of 6 months to execute each project work local government, and by so doing ensure that within his first 2 years in office, each local government will be able to boast of 4 major life-touching projects in their areas. According to him, if the Arise agenda's compass is judiciously followed, his government will be able to improve upon and add to the developmental strides of his predecessors. The governor again assured that he will continue to invest in human capital development and ensure that he trains and retrains the people for effective performance. Earlier, the Honorary Chief Emeka Anyaoku had appreciated Governor Eno for accepting to host the event. According to him, he affirmed their choice of Akwa Ibom as the host due to the impressive performance of Governor Eno in his 5 months in office, stressing that the governor's investment in education and his Arise agenda plan was commendable. Chief Anyaoku therefore stressed that the developmental strides in Akwa Ibom is replicated nationally. Chief Anyaoku therefore stressed that if the developmental strides in Akwa Ibom is replicated nationally, Nigeria will work again. The Government House correspondent Jane Owa reports that the event featured lectures and keynote speakers who all reiterated that good governance is the tool for a progressive society. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State Government has unveiled a comprehensive plan to celebrate the 2023 Christmas. Unveiling the month-long plan at the Ibom Icon Hotel and Golf Resort, Uyo, the Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, Charles Odor, said the 2023 edition of the Christmas Park, formerly Christmas Village, will hold from Friday, December 1, 2023 through Tuesday, January 2, 2024 at the Unity Park, Udo Dama Avenue, Uyo. He assured that the event was carefully engineered to showcase the entrepreneurial drive of Governor Moino, as well as ensuring that Akwa Ibom becomes more marketable. The commissioner further hinted that the 2023 edition of the annual Carol Festival, slated for December 15 at the Unity Park, has as its theme, "Arise, shine, for thy light has come," drawn from Isaiah 60, verse 1, and will be streamed live on social handles of the state government. He explained that the month-long celebration will offer each local government area selected alphabetically the opportunity to display their talents and unique features while celebrating international days that would be marked in the course of the celebrations. In a goodwill message, the Commissioner for Information in Mobong, who is also a member of the Events Planning Committee, assured of his ministry's readiness to partner the Ministry of Culture and Tourism and other stakeholders of the event to ensure all-round success. In the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has approved the appointment of Pastor Imobasi Jacob as Managing Director, Akwa Ibom Investment Corporation, Akicop, with effect from 15th November 2023. This is according to a release signed by the Secretary to the State Government in Obamowa. The release tasked the appointee to use his wealth of experience to render faithful and dedicated service to the government of Akwa Ibom State to justify the confidence reposed in him. Elsewhere, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has announced that work on the completion of the Akwa Ibom State University Teaching Hospital in Ona local government area, initiated by the immediate past administration of Udom Emmanuel, has been intensified to complement the services of the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital UUTH and optimize the healthcare delivery at the tertiary level in the state. Governor Noh, who announced this during his interaction with management staff of the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, who were on a courtesy visit at Government House, described as alarming the volume of traffic to the UUTH by patients and traced the upsurge to the institution being the only facility that provides services at the tertiary level to the public. He acknowledged that despite the facility's federal status, the state government is unrelenting in its assistance in terms of structures and services to enable it cater for the health needs of the people of the state. According to the governor, his administration has improved in healthcare services by revamping the primary healthcare sector for efficiency to reduce traffic on the secondary and tertiary healthcare institutions across the state, expressing the determination of his administration to dot the landscape of every local government with a model healthcare institution before the end of his tenure. Governor Eno therefore appealed to companies and donor agencies to help fast-track establishment of model healthcare institutions across the state, assuring that ambulance services would be put in place in the local government areas and strategic locations in the state capital for enhanced healthcare services as promised to the people during his electioneering campaign. High point of the visit was a presentation of a check of 30 million naira intervention fund by Governor Moino to the management of the hospital. Still to come in the news. Eurozone inflation rate falls to over 2-year low. This stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now to Africa, where U.S. President Joe Biden has revealed plans to expel Uganda, Gabon, Niger, and the Central African Republic from a special U.S.-Africa trade program. President Biden said that Niger and Gabon, both of which are currently under military rule following coups this year, are ineligible for AGOA because they have not established or are not making continual progress towards establishing the protection of political pluralism and the rule of law. He also said that the removal of CAR and Uganda from the program was due to gross violations of internationally recognized human rights by their governments. So in Africa, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, has said that the number of displaced people in the Democratic Republic of Congo has reached a record high of 6.9 million. It said the latest increase comes following renewed conflict between Tutsi-led M23 rebels and militias loyal to the government in the eastern province of North Kivu in October. The IOM added that it urgently needs to deliver help to those most in need, describing the situation in the DRC as one of the largest internal displacement and humanitarian crises in the world. Meanwhile, King Charles III and Queen Camilla have begun a state visit to Kenya today, facing widespread calls for an apology over Britain's bloody colonial past. Although the four-day trip has been billed as an opportunity to look to the future and build on the cordial modern-day ties between London and Nairobi, the legacy of decades of British colonial rule looms large. It is the 74-year-old British head of state's first visit to an African and Commonwealth nation since ascending the throne in September last year on the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden has signed an ambitious executive order on artificial intelligence that seeks to balance the needs of cutting-edge technology companies with national security and consumer rights, creating an early set of guardrails that could be fortified by legislation and global agreements. Before signing the order, Biden said AI is driving change at warp speed and carries tremendous potential as well as perils. According to reports, the most advanced generation of AI models have prompted concerns around everything from job losses and cyber attacks to humans losing control of the systems they have designed. Meanwhile, the order is an initial step that is meant to ensure that AI is trustworthy and helpful rather than deceptive and destructive. The order, which will likely need to be augmented by congressional action, seeks to steer how AI is developed so that companies can profit without putting public safety in jeopardy. Still on the foreign scene, the Gaza Strip has become a graveyard for thousands of children, according to the United Nations today, as it feared the prospect of more dying of dehydration. According to Israeli officials, Israel has heavily bombarded Gaza since Hamas gunmen stormed across the border on October 7, killing 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and kidnapping at least 240 others. The health ministry in the Hamas-run Gaza Strip said the strikes have killed more than 8,500 people, mainly civilians. Meanwhile, the UN Children's Agency UNICEF said there was a risk that the number of children deaths directly from bombardment could become eclipsed. In a related development, a petition signed by nearly 100 French journalists calls for the Gaza Strip to be opened up to allow them inform the public on the events there. A petition signed by nearly 100 French journalists demanding access to Gaza and the protection of journalists covering the conflict between Israel and Hamas militants comes from a simple assessment: a war needs to have field reporting from both sides. Now, reports say since the blockade Israel imposed on Gaza 16 years ago, journalists cannot enter the Palestinian territory without authorization from Israeli authorities. Meanwhile, the international media has continued reporting on the situation in Gaza despite the restrictions, but there is a glaring disparity between the and quality of information coming out of Israel and Gaza, with Gaza under siege and missile strikes killing Palestinian journalists. The foreign to report on the events from outside the enclave. Meanwhile, an Israeli government ministry has drafted a wartime proposal to transfer the Gaza Strip's 2.3 million people to Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, drawing condemnation from the Palestinians and worsening tensions with Cairo. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office laid down the report compiled by the Intelligence Ministry and a hypothetical exercise, a concept paper, but its conclusions deepened long-standing Egyptian fears that Israel wants to make Gaza into Egypt's problem and revived for Palestinians memories of their greatest trauma, the uprooting of hundreds of thousands of people who fled or were forced from their homes during the fighting surrounding Israel's creation in 1948. The reports say, so far, more than 8,000 Palestinians, the vast majority of them civilians, have been killed since Israel went to war against Hamas after its October 7 attack. Still on the foreign scene, the Israel Defense Forces IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari has said that the number of hostages believed to be held by Hamas in Gaza is up to 240. Hagari, who disclosed this at a press conference, also said 315 IDF soldiers have died since Hamas's attack in Israel on October 7. He added that the IDF completed its first successful hostage extrication, rescuing an Israeli soldier who was abducted by the Hamas. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blessing Dixon.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening. It's business news. My name is Blessing Dixon. The annual inflation rate in the euro area declined to 2.9% in October, reaching its lowest level since July 2021 and falling slightly below the market consensus of 3.1% as energy prices continued to fall and food inflation declined. Inflation is typically a broad measure such as an overall increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in a country. Meanwhile, the core rate, which filters out volatile food and energy prices, also cooled to 4.2%, the lowest since July 2022. Away from that, the euro area economy shrank 0.1% on quarter in 3 months to September 2023, worse than market forecast of a flat reading and following an upwardly revised 0.2% rise in the second quarter, according to preliminary estimate. This marks the first contraction since 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic waned. Among the bloc's biggest economies, the gross domestic product (GDP) shrank in Germany (-0.1%), stalled in Italy, and rose modestly in France (0.1%) and Spain (0.3%). Year on year, the economy advanced a meager 0.1% below forecast of 0.2%. The European Central Bank expects the euro area economy to grow to 0.7% only in 2023 as tighter financing conditions and high prices weigh on domestic demand. Foreign demand remains subdued and the industrial sector continues to contract, especially in Germany. GDP growth is expected to pick up to 1% in 2024 and 1.5% in 2025. In Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria has denied claims that it plans to redominate the country's currency, Naira, with effect from January 2024. CBN's Director of Corporate Communications, Issa Abdulmumin, said this in a statement today. The reaction of the Apex Bank comes following a claim suggesting it plans to redominate the country's legal tender. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. The Nigerian exchange NGX All-Share Index increased by 1,124.48 basis points, an equivalent of 1.65%, to close at 67,236.19 points. The market, when compared with the previous trading day today, shows a 12% improvement in volume, 27% decline in turnover, but 5% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange improved from 37.4 trillion naira to 38 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 119 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 40 gainers and 25 losers. Airtel Africa led the gainers with a 10% share price appreciation, closing at 1,540 naira 10 kobo per share. On the losing side, Better Glass Company came out last with an end-of-date price depreciation of 9.93% at 60 naira 30 kobo per share. Topol Gold and Ventures recorded the highest volume of 156 million traded shares. This is all in business news. And back to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Many thanks, Blessing. Still to come in the news. Saudi Arabia is set to host World Cup after Australia does not bid. To stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has recorded 1,095 Lassa fever cases across 113 local government areas in 28 states. The NCDC revealed this in its Lassa fever situation report for week 41, October 9 to 15, 2023, released today. Lassa fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic illness caused by the Lassa virus, a member of the arenavirus family of viruses. Humans usually become infected with the Lassa virus through exposure to food or household items contaminated with the urine or feces of infected rats. The disease is endemic in the rodent population in parts of West Africa. Lassa fever remains a major public health challenge as poor environmental sanitation, poor awareness, and late presentation of cases are reported to fuel the epidemic in Nigeria. Still in health, the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) has expressed concern over the shortage of doctors in Jigawa State, especially with the current ratio of 1 doctor to 21,000 patients. The NMA chairman in the state, Dr. Aminu Abdullahi, who disclosed this in a statement to commemorate the 2023 Physicians Week, said Jigawa has the highest record of brain drain in the country. The chairman therefore lamented how brain drain negatively hit the state, adding that 16% of the state's 2023 annual budget was allocated to the health sector. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State government has reported about 500 cases of gender-based violence cases in the national GBV dashboard, out of which 5 cases have been prosecuted by the end of September. The UNFPA State Sub-Implementing Partner Coordinator at the State's Planning and Budget Commission, Jamilu Laden, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen in Kaduna. He explained that the feat was achieved with the support of other development partners and civil society organizations working in the GBV space. Let's head over now to Isaac. Isaac, for latest sports stories.
Well, thank you so much. Well, in sports, Saudi Arabia is set to host the Men's 2034 World Cup after Australia decided against bidding to stage the tournament. Football Australia confirmed its decision to not host the competition only hours before FIFA's deadline for declarations of interest in Tuesday. Saudi Arabia is the only other nation to bid. Australia's governing body says it intends to focus its effort on hosting the AFC Women's Asian Cup in 2026 and the Club World Cup in 2029. The 2026 World Cup will take place in US, Mexico, and Canada. Morocco, Portugal, and Spain would host the 2030 tournament, with matches also in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. FIFA had said that the 2034 World Cup would be held in Asia or Oceania, and an Australian bid was regarded as the only potential challenger to Saudi Arabia, which announced its intention to bid shortly after FIFA's decision. Well, in football, Moses Simon has been nominated as Nonce Player of the Month for October. Simon registered 1 goal and an assist for the Canaries this month. Pedro Chirivella, Marcus Coco, and Flora Muller are the other players nominated for the award. Supporters have until Thursday to cast a vote. Simon has registered the highest number of assists in the French top flight this season. He's 28 and has been a key figure at Nantes since his arrival at the club in 2019. Well, finally, from the tennis scene, Coco Gauff has announced she has split with coach Pere Riba, but the U.S. Open champion is still working alongside renowned American coach Brad Gilbert. Spaniard Riba joined Gauff's coaching team ahead of the 2023 Eastbourne International in June, but the American later hiring Brad Gilbert as a coaching consultant. The 19-year-old won the City Open in Washington, Cincinnati Open, and then Flushing Meadows in New York under their guidance. But Gauff and Riba have now ended a partnership after 5 months, with the American confirming the split after requiring less than 1 hour to beat Ons Jabeur 6-love, 6-1 for her first WTA Finals victory. Well, that's it on sport. My name is Isaac. Thank you so much and good evening.
Many thanks, Isaac. And now on entertainment news, the family of the Nigerian comic actor John Okafor, also known as Mr. Ibu, has revealed that the actor successfully underwent 5 surgeries and would be flown abroad for further treatment soon. This was disclosed in a statement on the actor's Instagram page today. It will be recalled that earlier in October, the Abubakar Bukola Saraki Foundation fully covered the medical expenses of the Nollywood actor John Okafor. Still on entertainment, Nigerian celebrity chef Hilda Bassi, popularly known as Hilda Bassi, has narrated how she was disowned by her biological father, Ifeanyi Bassi Adam. The Guinness World Record holder disclosed this during her latest interview with Tang San on the Tea with Tay podcast. While speaking of her relationship with her father, she explained that he had been present in their lives since they were kids, but things changed when a huge argument between him and her mother had an impact on the children. And while Nigerian Afrobeat star Divine Ikobo, popularly known as Rema, has made history as the first African artist to perform at the prestigious Ballon d'Or ceremony. The 23-year-old performed at the 2023 Ballon d'Or ceremony in Paris, France. Rema thrilled the audience with a performance of his hit song, Calm Down. And lastly, on entertainment tonight, Nigerian singer Bilaziz Fashola, popularly known as Naira Marley, and Lagos socialite Samson Eletu, also known as Sam Larry, have filed a fundamental rights suit to challenge their continued detention over the death of 27-year-old singer Ileroluwa Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. Joined as defendants in the suit filed before the Federal High Court in Lagos were the police and the Lagos magistrate Adeola Olatunbosun, who ordered their remand in police custody for 21 days. The reports say Naira Marley and Sam Larry are each demanding 20 million naira damages from the defendants. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us at social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Have a good night. Bye.